replication chamber. But since we were chosen by Traveler, and our cause was just, we were certain the day would be ours, until Sira took control. It infected our weapons, our armor. The corruption puppeted us against one another. In the end, Yolder sealed the chamber with the Iron Lords inside, rather than let Siva escape. A battle was won, heroes died, and our mistakes still stayed there. Now we get to chapter 2, The Fallen. With a quote from Unnamed. We have butchers at our gates, four-armed and eager for slaughter. The fallen are ruthless scavengers, brutal and uncaring. They arrive on their massive catches in the wake of the collapse to loot and pillage our devastated worlds. There are hints of ancient nobility to the fallen, the scars of lost grandeur. The kells of their scattered houses still claim to be royalty, but they leave only grief and wreckage in their wake. Reese dreams of Alpha Lupi. This world is rich with family. You pause to rest. Life is a balm. You must cherish it where you find it. You do not mean to stay, but longing and kinship forestalls your departure time and time again. These little gardeners are such careful stewards of fragility. They sing songs of disasters averted and loved ones lost. They fashion heavy elements combed from the bones of old stars into objects of peace and beauty. You must force yourself to be cruel. Your presence is potent. That, I'm guessing, was from The Traveler. Now, from Fallen Ground. I am quiet. I am not here. The fallen cannot see me. They cannot know me. I am not a shadow, but I move among them, silent, deliberate of motion, and intent as when I entered their hollow 1 month prior. I used the light of day to mask my own, because the forest here is barren. It's a dead place, to and fro. A constant buzz as the scavengers go about the business of stripping this world of its old glories. As I watch and learn. I record and preserve. Their every movement is my obsession. I hang on their every word, even though I am not versed in their nightmare tongue. But others are, and they will decipher it. They will find the secrets hidden within. Secrets are like weapons, and I am an instrument of their unmaking. They are enemy, they are cruel, and I will learn and share, and they will be undone. What is that shouting? I am deep now, no telling how far in. I have tracked each meter, mapped every path, but this maze is ever winding, and their cheers now echo, violent with joy, and I hesitate to investigate as I am entering unknown corridors thick with security. Yes, this is a special place, a holy place, a mechanized place, and the shouts merge with screams and the grinding of gears, and the joy joins with pain. There is suffering here, punishment, a ritual? I must know, so we may know. And I move slow, careful, must not be seen, cannot be detected. Meter by meter, anywhere where cover is provided. Quick and with purpose whenever exposed. I make my way, leaving other avenues unexplored. The cheers must be understood. But eventually they die, replaced by the harmony of the pirates' busy days and nights. Oh my, how they never rest. Or rather, when they rest, others continue the work, prepping scavengers' sorties, sifting through spoils, readying their fleet, their weapons, their worship. the manner in which they revere machines. I should feel safe here. I should be among their gods. Am I a machine? I don't know. I don't know anything. Their worship is not so simple. With the cacophony of excitement no longer echoing, I slow my pace but remain vigilant in my efforts to locate its origin. It is weeks before I do. Weeks before now. A ceremony has just ended, and I am sending out a recollection of what I have seen. Because I am seen. These are my final moments. Of this I am sure. The ceremony is combat, ritual, and fury. It is a pit, an arena where the lesser and unworthy must prove their value or suffer and die. Oh, how they fight dirty. Oh, how they fight to survive or to thrive. In this pit, before the eyes of an Archon, shamed Elixni may redeem themselves, lesser pirates may improve their station. A drag to a Vandal to a captain to... This is their forge, their place of judgment, their trial before their betters. This is what we are up against. Kill or die, thrive or perish. They have no use for the weak as they watch and cheer and scream as their Archon looks on. But I have become careless. The fervor became a distraction, and now the Archon's eyes have found me, and I am too deep to run, and I think he is smiling. This was the last frantic transmissions of Ren, a brave ghost of the spectral network. And now we have examples of each rank among the Elixni. So first we have the dregs, which you can see here. Dregs cling to the lowest rung of fallen society, docked of their lower arms in a ritual of humiliation and obedience. Dregs seek to prove their worth. Only a few will survive to gain promotion and regrow their limbs. Their suicidal bravery is fueled by ambition and shame. Next we have Shanks, which you can see on this page here, even though it's kind of glitching out, but this is the Shank. Shanks are the bulldogs of the fallen, small and tough enough to go where dregs won't fit. They scout, keep watch, and patrol. Foreign walkers deploy Shank from internal bays for tactical support and field repairs. Next we have Vandals. Soldiers, brawlers, assassins, and scouts. Vandals are the seasoned regulars who will fill out the skilled roles within the fallen crew. Whether from distance or up close and personal, they are seasoned, efficient killers with an arsenal of weaponry and tech to match their bloodlust. Then captains. That's kind of the best I can show, unfortunately. Having clawed and knifed his way to the top, scattering bodies and limbs in his wake, the captain is the strongest and most ferocious member of the crew he musters run himself. His ration of ether is the largest, his blades the sharpest, his guns the finest. Upon his shoulders hang the flag of his house, if he swears loyalty to any. For his crew, the slightest hesitation to comply earns a slash from his sword. Defiance results in immediate amputation, if he is in a good mood, or death if he is not. Next we have walkers. Big fucking tanks. Fallen walkers are mobile gun platforms deployed in offensive and defensive roles alike. Though their insect-like design gives them an eerie, almost lifelike quality, these heavily armored monstrosities are purely robotic. Their advanced tracking systems can account for multiple targets as their forward repeaters and massive main guns sweep the battlefield for threats. Mine dispensers provide close defense against dismounted infantry, and an onboard Shank foundry produces armed repair drones. Walkers are immediate and deadly threats, having ended the light of countless guardians. The Fallen do not hesitate to deploy them to provide overwatch for the salvage and extraction crews. Walkers are also commonly used as blocking forces to guard key Fallen assets. At the Battle of Twilight Gap, walkers engaged in the thunderous artillery duel with the city's gun positions. The collected wisdom of battle-hardened guardians suggests walkers can be beaten by focusing fire on the legs, overloading the walker and rendering its armored core briefly vulnerable. When the walker stumbles, guardians should focus all available firepower on the exposed components beneath the neck plating. Some externally mounted weapons can also be disabled with precise fire. Next we have the servitors, right there. Servitors are living relics of the mighty fallen civilization. Packed with ultra-sophisticated machinery, they process matter and energy into the ether that the fallen depend on for life. In battle, they support the fallen with defensive systems and their own powerful energy weapons. Outside, they anchor fallen comms and provide vital technological acumen. Servitors have complex relationships with each other and with their fallen crews. Servitors are attached to a prime, a massive servitor which exists in unclear symbiosis with a fallen Archon. The Archon conveys the Kel's wishes to the prime servitor and exerts some measure of control. Recent developments suggest that prime servitors are more than a focus of worship and logistical activity. They may play a key role in fallen starflight. They do indeed. And now we have the great houses, such as the House of Devils. These are the scourge of the city, the shadow below our walls. This is the house that led the battle at Twilight Gap, the house we tell our children about to frighten them into behaving. The House of Devils have now devoted great strength to pillaging the Cosmodrome in Old Russia, hunting for something buried below. If they are not held in check, whatever they find might prove the city's undoing. Next is the House of Kings. The colors of the House of Kings are rarely seen. They act with brutal contempt, as if they hold their rivals, or the fallen city alike, in disdain. We have yet to grasp the full measure of their strength. We really don't know much about them. The House of Winter. The fallen House of Winter, led by the ruthless Kel Draxis, have been found operating in and around the Ishtar Sink on Venus. Their interests there seem directed at the ruins of the Academy along the shattered coast. But there are concerns that their focus may, in actuality, be directed elsewhere, toward the ominous citadel that rises like a warning above the waking ruins. And we have the House of Exile. There is more than a whiff of desolation about these fallen. Their ranks are swollen with dregs, their rags threadbare. Perhaps this is a new house, gathered from the outcast, malcontents, and disgraced castaways of the others, galvanized by pride or hate or the desire for freedom. Be watchful if this is true. They will surely be hungry to secure their position, and that may drive them into bold action. Part 2, Resilience. In Chapter 3, the Battle of Six Fronts. That's a very famous battle in the history of the city. Have a bit of a drink real quick. At Six Fronts, defending the wall was not enough. Titans had to become a wall. It was the city's darkest hour. Some Titans broke order, but the chain prevailed. 2 Firebreak commanders led a sortie beyond the walls and reclaimed 5 miles of scorched land from the fallen. A zealous few sneer at the legends of Six Fronts. Our invincible defense was a waste, they say. We should have charged. Oh, we have verses for the onslaught. Verses 60 to 70. Keldrithis the daring, they claim to the dread makers. Whirlwind whisked us to this war-weary world. We galloped the galaxy to grasp the great machine. It is not our fate to fail on this field. And they went, war-whooping for the white orb to the wall. Mark the marvelous manslayers who that day marched. Vililix the unvanquished, Vithrix and Vithilix, Pithris and Pythax, called Peerless and Psiris Slayer, Relix the Revenger, and Erevir the Righteous. But the brutal ones with their bodies barred the way. The deathless dead ones they called Didons. They have a word for titans. Verses 315 to 328. Radigask reaved 10 Rikas into Relix's range. His death blows drove back the ranks of dregs. No numbers could negate the Didon's nerve. Until Kirivik's King Killer called out to the crew. Summoning her shock-shooters, the sly Baroness stood against Radigask at the 12 Rika and rallied the rabble. Gunned down again and again, the gruesome Didons grew afraid, and the Didons drew back at last, defied and defeated, and marched no more into the field of the machine loyal. Then the righteous righter of wrongs called the rabble. Yes, Kirivik's King Killer called for a countercharge. I wish you could witness the waves of warm-ethered warbands. The Didons drew ranks, doughty as a wall of Durmater. But Kirivik's carved cracks in their undead configurations. Verses 4:1 to 4:7. Fearful were Kirivik's firebreak foes as back they fell. We thought the white orb, whirlwind maker, we had won. But alas, lovely Kirivik's laughter was not long-lived. Before the barriers of broad-shouldered Didons broke, she was slain, singing to the sphere, by Osirix. The Whirlix who wended his way unwatched through the warland. Remember Kirivik's the Righteous, who halted ravaging Radagast. I like that they even have, like, names for the Titans. Like, the Titans and then, like, special Guardians who have, like, strong names in the story of Destiny. Kind of like how we have Mithrax, which technically is Mizrax. But then we have Chapter 4, with the Wraith Wars. The asteroid belt is a great band of nothingness, speckled with unimaginable wealth. Once a treasure trove for Golden Age industry, the belt is now a haunted place, where fallen pirates and awoken patrols skirmish among the whispering carcasses of ancient machines. Among the asteroids drift the reef, lashed together from the ruined ship of an ancient Exodus. Here the Queen rules over the Awoken, the farthest known light of civilization. Ooh, we're gonna learn about Mara. Which, Kate, if you're still here, this is Mara. If the fucking background stops glitching out. She's such a great fucking character. Okay. This happens long ago, but not too long to matter. Ceres rules the asteroid belt. Ceres is the White Queen of this space, 400 million kilometers from the sun. Ceres is round. Round means power. Out here, nothing else in the belt is big enough to crush itself into a sphere with its own gravity. Ceres has its own chemical stars, shavings of salt and ice that glint in orbit like a crown. There are other lights, newer stars, newer crowns, warship engines. Another queen is coming to conquer Ceres, because Ceres is full of warrens and shipyards and habitats, because Ceres is round and lucky as a servitor, because Ceres is full of the walls she wants to rule. Shark-fierce ships gather in squadrons and tribes, skiffs, ketches. The Kell of Wolves has a fleet gathered here. The Kell of Wolves heard the call, and summoned the House of Wolves to prepare for the great battle on Earth. The salvation of the Kell's people depends on their ability to shatter the city. It is a matter of survival. Now the wolf fleet turns to meet the queen. See the squadrons of skiffs wrapping themselves in stealth, cold and transparent, knifing out invisible and brave. See the ketches like broad blades, the bright thoughts of a servitor guiding into battle. See them turning, accelerating, waking up their jammers and their arc guns. All doomed. The Kell of Wolves will never make it to the Twilight Gap. The Kell of Wolves pull all that strength into one place, and now the Queen of the Reef is coming to break it. Out there, coming out of the dark, are the Awoken. Not so great a fleet, is it? Little fighters scattered around like four-pointed thorns. Destroyers and frigates and salvage hulls pulled out of the reef, and right at the front, at the spear tip, flies the Queen. The Wolf Kell, practical, brave, tallies the strength of metal and equipment. The Kell considers the chance that the Awoken have some secret weapon, something gleaned from hulks in the reef, or whispered up by the witches, and sets that chance aside. The Kell thinks the House of Wolves can win decisively. So the Kell sends challenge and warning. I am Lord of Wolves, the Kell sends. You are an empty thing with 2 dead souls. This is my house. These are my terms. Surrender, and I will only take your ships. The Awoken fleet cuts their engines, drifts. Wolf strike elements, torpedo-armed skiffs hidden under jamming and camouflage, find their firing solutions. The Queen's ship broadcasts. I am noble too, she says, O Lord of Wolves. The Kell doesn't mind a little banter before the kill. It gives the wolf ships longer to draw the battle away from Ceres. The Kell replies, You have no line, you have no power. Captains and barons signal their readiness. Skolas and Persis and Irxis, Drevis, Pikis, Parixas, all of them bound by fear and loyalty, all ready for war. Starlight was my mother. The Queen's ship whispers in eerie, erratic radio bursts. Servitors begin to report a strange taste in the void. And my father was the dark. Here at last, too late, the Kell begins to feel fear. Call on them, then. The Kell sends one last mocking signal before death and ruin, and see what help they offer. So the Queen calls, as only she can. Every servitor and every ketch hears it. Every captain and baron roars at their underlings as sensors go blind, as firing solutions falter, as reactors stutter and power systems hum with induction. Stealth fails, space warps. The House of Wolves shouts in spite of war code, maneuvers wild, fires blind. Behind the Queen's ship, the Harbingers awaken. Which something that they don't seem to be mentioning is Harbingers are basically these massive fucking bombs, pretty much, that Mara and her Techians can summon to just devastate ships. Like you can see a bunch of Harbingers being used in Destiny 1 against Oryx's fleet, and a bunch of massive hive ships get absolutely fucking decimated by just a single Harbinger plowing through them. It's insane. That Kell of Wolves is dead for sure. The next part is Skolas captured. Varix keeps a ragged piece of armor in his pod. It's human tech, Golden Age. Shattered in some ancient battle, pre-collapse, and left to drift. He found it and he brought it to his quarters so he could sit on it. It's nothing like a throne. Varix doesn't want a throne. He sits on his ancient shrapnel, unmasked, and whittles at an amethyst with the dead edge of a shocked dagger. Music plays, something ancient, pre-whirlwind, beautiful. The ether in the air is rich, and it fills him up with strength. Skolas has been captured. Mad Skolas, who would have ruined everything. Varix should be happy. He's not. With his little knife and his 2 arms and his stolen shining thing, he feels like a drag. He feels ashamed. He betrayed Skolas twice. At Cybele and again now. He will betray Skolas' dream 10 times more. Varix will never be strong like Skolas, big like Skolas, a leader like Skolas. Varix will work for the Queen, oversee the prisons, watch his fellow fallen. They are fallen. It is a good name now. Fight and die as gladiators who want nothing except a chance to hurt guardians, even Skolas. He tried to use the Vex, word has it. He tried to use their machines. Has that ever worked for anyone? Maybe one, maybe a few. The Osiris cultists are Varix's favorite people. Maybe that's how you survive this alien star where dead gods slumber and dead heroes walk. You cozy up to powers you barely understand and make yourself useful, or at least inoffensive. You become a parasite, a scavenger, a servant. That's Drag's strength. That's the strength that keeps Varix alive. It's nothing to be ashamed of. Next we have Abstracts from the Marryad. Starting with Book 7, Chapter 10. The transmission was broadcasted on all fallen frequencies, lacking at the time the ability to crack fallen encryptions. The Master of Crows would discern only that the fallen houses were all talking to each other. That was a thing that had never happened before. Then the Techians looked earthward, and saw the fallen were becoming bolder. Tactics suggested they were planning a massive attack. We had no interplanetary arrays, no way to warn Earth. We thought we would be able to do nothing but watch. But then the wolves arrived from the Jovians. Their army was hundreds of thousands, perhaps millions strong. A dark wave that washed over the reef, rushing towards the Earth. As soon as we saw them, it was clear that if the wolves reached Earth, the city would fall. Seemingly oblivious to our existence, the bulk of the wolf fleet stopped to regroup at Ceres. The Queen's decision was this: attack the House of Wolves, thereby saving Earth but revealing the reef's presence to any and all enemies in the quadrant. Or remain silent, preserving the reef's invisibility but allowing the city to perish. Her harbingers ripped into Ceres, destroying the asteroid and killing Virixas, Kell of Wolves, and more than half his house. The remaining wolves scattered, burrowing deep into the belt for cover. There, new claimants to the Kelship quickly arose. Ixis, the Wolf Baroness, Parixus the Howling, and Skolas the Rabid. Before I read Book 8, Chapter 1, I'm gonna have a quick drink, because a lot of talking makes the throat dry. So, Book 8, Chapter 1. After the scatter, the front runners for the Kelship was Ixis, Wolf Baroness, while Skolas and Parixus scrambled over the Calyx servitors. Ixis secured the commands of the Orbix servitors. Their history is still unclear, but the Orbix originate with either another fallen house, perhaps one that the wolves absorbed long ago, or a modification of the Calyx servitors. Either way, the Orbix servitors held permission on Calyx servitors, which allowed Ixis to wreak havoc among her rival's forces at the start of the Wraith Wars. Book 8, Chapter 2. What Picus's assault lacked in finesse, it made up for in sheer numbers and desperation. Ixis's catches were pinned against Eos, and the two sides engaged in the bloody, bitter battle known as the Eos Clash, which left Ixis dead and both fleets near decimated. In the aftermath, the Crows salvaged one Orbix servitor, Merker Orbix 11, believed to be the last of its programming. Though technically a victory for Skolas, the Eos clash came at a terrible cost for him. He docked Picus's arms and demoted him to drag as punishment for his